Well, I'm talking to Caleb Crush, and they call you Crusher.
Yes, that's right.
Oh,
And yeah, and it's always quite ironic because I'm from Bundaberg and the Cane Crush. My mum was actually going to call me Cane,
oh no.
and she thought, well, that's probably not the best way to go about it. So, yeah, so she gave me the name Caleb. So bold and courageous. Yeah,
that's
so
nice.
yeah, but
Excellent.
yeah. So,
Okay, so you're farm bred, farm boy, and you was telling me your family back a couple of generations they've been fairly strongly involved in setting up Christian ministries right across Queensland.
yes, yes. My grandfather, Graham Carnell, heavily involved with the Wesleyan Church throughout Queensland, Gayndah, and then, yeah, moving through Queensland with that and travelling and conferences and all that kind of thing. And he's now retired, and I think he loves to always spur me on as one of my mentors. And his wife, Victoria, my nan, she's been a very good mentor for me too. And yeah, they've always been there for me and always showed me love and pointed me in that direction of, this is where we've come from as a family. And I feel like there's something in my heart that stirs every time they share a bit of, I know that person, or that those connections they make. So yeah, they're very.
So you come from good stock, and now you're part of a YWAM Youth with a Mission team, and you've been travelling just New South Wales or Queensland as well.
Yeah, so we've been focusing on New South Wales this time. Last year I hit Queensland, so we travelled around a lot of country towns, including Chinchilla, Bundaberg, my hometown, and then we got to go over the border to Moree. And that was during a pandemic at the time, so it was always watching that border. Are we going to be trapped in New South Wales?
The border,
yeah. So,
and then down here in central New South Wales.
Yeah, so we started off in Port Macquarie, and then we travelled to Bathurst. Did a few laps of Mount Panorama, which was lovely.
That was for the boys.
Yes, that's exactly right. And then we then went to Allochtown. We stayed
near Parks.
Yeah, near Parks. Yes, and then we ministered at a church in Peak Hill. And then sort of did all we can with the programs that couldn't quite be at full capacity. So that was lovely.
So coming from the bush and coming from small towns, what do you see is happening in small towns for young people?
Yeah, I think for young people, there's always that crossroads where you finish school and you get told, by grandparents or people around you, okay, what's next? And I think that can be quite a stressful time for young people, finding out who they are in themselves. And then, okay, now we've got life to do. And sometimes you don't always learn those lessons at school. So I think in small country towns where there's probably not as much of a big presence of young people, I feel like there can tend to be a little bit of loneliness and isolation for a few of these young people. And it's I always used to think, where's that green light, looking for that door exit out of the town to go to the city. And I think as we were just discussing before, it's actually the move is probably coming from out of the big cities now and people coming back out to the bush.
So COVID might be driving people away, and also the expensiveness.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but what's going to be there for them? Like obviously you need work, and but there's more than just work, isn't it? Like I think you've been living with a team and in community, but you were talking about you have to go back to your patch, which is a little town.
Yeah, Bundaberg, and then I've got a little property at Bigoton, so it's sort of an hour in between. So yeah.
And what's your vision for that?
Yeah, I think my personal vision is my heart is always to have an open space for people with no agenda, but just to come and meet, and that hospitality of having people around for a meal, or having a block of land where children can play or people can have those chats, and just make a real inviting space for people with no necessary questions or anything, but just let's be in each other's presence and talk about how is life, what are the big questions, what are we wrestling through as families, and sort of meet that immediate need of, I guess, connection and relationship with people, and I think go from there. I think my vision would be to see my property used as like a hub where people always know that's somewhere to come and even sit on a log and down at the creek or something like that, or have a camp for one night or something. And I think I'd love to see that as a space, and I love talking to people and seeing, okay, where are they at the moment, and where do they want to go. And
so you could sort of create a nucleus for people where they could sort of begin to locate themselves around that and create community.
Yeah, that excites me to even to think about. I'm thinking as we speak, you know, I actually on my holidays for the 4 weeks I went out with an excavator and we made like a little campsite there and everything, and you're sort of getting the vision happening as you're working, and it excites you to see, and even the team that I've met on the road, to invite them back for an event and to catch up, see how life's going. So
there's going to be quite a shift for you coming from being on the road to putting your roots down and perhaps building something new on the foundations your family's built. Yeah.
Yes.
So if you were talking to young people, what would you be saying to them? What's the important thing message you're trying to get to them?
I think with the young people is the message that probably worked is always be humble. I know that's hard, you know, when young people, they probably have that pride, but I think coming with a humble posture into whatever situation they are, and don't be afraid to do the hard work in terms of listening and finding, okay, you know, where do I sit in the equation of my picture right now? In what lens am I looking through right now? And I think I shared this a bit earlier to you, but it's like, I think I like to sum it up, and I heard this, it was like, you know, who is God, who am I, and what are we called to? And I think as believers, for young people, asking that question to yourself, you know, when you sort of get a little bit cloudy, like, oh, where is my focus, or am I losing focus of where God's called me personally? I think asking ourselves that question brings us back to an alignment of vision and the Great Commission, and also, so I think that would be my advice is to remind yourself, who is God, who am I, and what are we called to as individuals, in whatever stage you're at.
So if you're going through Queensland, Bundaberg, go to Biggendon and you'll find Caleb the Crusher there.
Yes.
And they'll be welcome.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, we'll have a fire, cook some damper.
Okay, and, sounds too good to be true.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Caleb.
No worries. Thank you, Paul. Thank you.